Hello, everyone. The world is a little bit smaller and a little bit worse because we lost Paddy Barclay. Patrick Barclay, who you may have read in so many of the newspapers in England, from the Times to the Guardian, the Observer, the Telegraph. He was a great writer. He's got great biographies on Herbert Chapman, Jose Mourinho, and Alex Ferguson. I recommend you to read them. He passed away today, and my memory of him will be the things I learned by reading him. But more than that, the way he looked after me from the beginning was one of the first sports journalists I met, and he treated me like an equal. He did the same with every foreign journalist that he met, almost like putting us under his wing. And it's interesting what people say, that what you remember of people that are just left, it's not what they produce, it's not the work, it's how they behaved. And he was a gentleman. Looked after me, always had a nice word for everyone. This is the kind of person that brings positive vibes when you're around him, and he will be greatly missed. So, Paddy, whatever you are, I'll have a drink on you later, and rest in peace. This is the sad start of Coffee with Guillem Live, which requires, for a proper start, a sequence like this one. Right, we are live. We have been live for a bit. It's your opportunity to ask questions. I've got a bunch of things that I want to explain to you and talk about. What has been a really interesting week. In fact, can I show you what I've been doing this week? Well, what a week this has been. And I'm rushing this audio because I'm getting to another plane. There's more to come. It's been a week that had to put my hat on as a chairman of Biggleswade United. I went to watch the semi-finals of our under-18 side. I managed to get to the final, so possibility of silverware for our under-18s. Then went to see Aston Villa against Spurs, the FA Cup, and the good season of Unai Emery's side continues. And it was the opportunity to check on Marco Asensio. He was extraordinary in the few minutes that he had, and Marcus Rashford, that tried very hard, but of course he needs to get sharper. This will be one thing that will go well for Aston Villa. Marcus Rashford could make the difference for the team in a time when it needs energy. I travelled then to Manchester. I had to be on Match of the Day, but before that I was interviewed for a documentary on racism in football by a Canadian TV company that preparing one of those films that you need to watch. I'll keep telling you about it as it progresses. I just came to do an interview and I got an amazing present. Look at that. So we've been talking about racism in football. Golden leaves and, in the
example of chocolate that combines different cultures of the world. German, maestro in chocolate, and then a Chinese shadow puppet operator who kind of designs this.
Wow.
And then we brought over to Manchester, United Kingdom, and give it to a top Spanish football journalist. I think this is, the world should be.
Then I was on Match of the Day again. It's just so iconic. I can tell you, it's 2 days of nerve-wracking state on my part. It's just, I don't want to get it wrong. I want to know all the answers. I go over-prepared. It's the BBC, after all. Big words. Then travelling to Barcelona now to do La Liga TV. 3 shows before I return to the UK for Barcelona Rayo Vallecano, which will be on Open TV, on ITV4. Meanwhile, my agent, David Luxton, was in Rome. Look what he found. Messi and Ronaldo in Italian. 2 books that have sold really, really well. In Italy, in fact, the Ronaldo one has been a bestseller and is in the 5th edition, no less. And as you're asking, the Aston Villa book, which has got a new title, which we will be announcing very, very soon. I've done already half of it, and it has to be finished by the 1st of June. So still a lot of work to do for it. I must say it, I know it sounds bad, I love my life. That's a lovely restaurant called Paparazzi in Tamworth, near the training ground of Aston Villa. So I'm spending a lot of time in the Midlands, so you need to go to the proper places. Now, from Barcelona, I'm going on Monday to ITV to do Barcelona Rayo Vallecano. And then from there, I travel to Madrid because I'll be covering Real Madrid, Manchester City. I think that's where we should start. A little bit of Manchester City and a little bit of Real Madrid. Real Madrid now favorites quite clearly. How did they manage to do it again? And that sentence, it's a myth that is being replicated, that Real Madrid in the difficult moments, they just appear and surprise many. Statistically, it's not true. If they always won when they are in a difficult position, they would have won the European Cup or the Champions League 70 odd times. But it's quite clear that it is a myth, that it's based on recent performances of high caliber performances like this one, because they were against the odds a little bit. Quite clearly, we'll talk about Manchester City in a minute, but they had the difficulty of having to play a back four that we found out after the game, because Ancelotti said it, they never trained together. They had never trained together. They never played together, of course. And yet, because Real Madrid, what they do is get the best players they can. Best players can adapt. They are adaptable, and that's the style of football, if you like, that or the philosophy as a club that they've got. They've got really good players, so you get Tchouaméni as a centre back, and he was good defending, but also distributing the ball. He's getting used to that position. He played really well. Mendy, not at his best, was the only player that you would say in the biggest games, if he gets his best form, he will start out of those back four in the back line, because the right back was Valverde. But Valverde was with Bellingham and Vinicius, and Mbappe, the player that shot on goal more often than any other. So he attacked really well, but he defended really well, because he's very strong but pacey in the first 5-10 meters. It's difficult to beat him, and he defended really well. And then Asensio was also somebody that shined, perhaps even man of the match, because he managed to win 100% of the duels of that game, committing 0 fouls, and he had to mark Haaland. And there was a moment where Haaland, they hold each other's shirt and whatever. And Asensio was like treating him like if he was just another striker, pushing him away and, you don't bully me and that kind of thing. So he has the personality, and he has certainly the ability to be a really good centre back. He is investigated, will continue to be investigated for the usage of sexual video with an underage girl, and that is part of his journey right now. Let's see what comes out of it. He's not the only former Real Madrid player. There's 2 more young youth players that have been investigated for that, and they're out of Real Madrid, but he's in the squad. So let's see what comes out of that. The investigation continues. Meanwhile, it seems to be focused on his football and the response to whatever happens to him, good or bad, will be a sign of a player that will take his football to the next level or not. We'll have to keep an eye on it. It was a good Real Madrid, but also because they were very compact. So talking about the defensive side of Real Madrid, because that was key. Ancelotti said it from the beginning of the season. If we sort things out, if we are compact, if we work as a team without the ball, then we have options for titles, and they did exactly that. The front four tracked back, didn't allow Manchester City to settle, and what they did as well, had more possession that they had done against Manchester City a few months back when they played the quarterfinals. That fixture that was sorted out by penalty shootout, where they had like 30% of possession. It was 47%, which meant that they could also defend with the ball. They dictated a lot of the time what was happening. And then on Manchester City, we spoke a lot about it. I think the impression people have in the camp is that top 4 is the target. Top 4 and surviving is the target. And building the third team of Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. That has started as well with the signings in January. There will be more coming. The idea is to get rid of 6 or 7 of the regulars into the lineup and bring 6 or 7 players that can get into the lineup of City, and reproduce in whatever way that Pep Guardiola decides, because it wasn't the same in the first project of Pep Guardiola when he first arrived. The second project being the centre backs, the 4 centre backs at the back with Haaland at front, and Rodri as the axis of the whole team. That was the second project. Let's see the third one. But what they wanted to reproduce this year to get the best of Manchester City was the centre backs, as you know, in the back 4, which it was the first time they played together. And guess what? Akanji got injured. So it hasn't been a lucky year for Manchester City. As I said, they are in survival mode, and the idea is just top 4. So I don't think they have much hope that things could be turned around at the Santiago Bernabeu, but I'll be there to watch it. One more on Real Madrid, and it's Vinicius and his contract. He says, I have a contract until 2027, but always spoken of my desire to be able to play here for a long time. He had been, of course, Real Madrid. But because of he feels he needs to be paid at the highest level, even breaking the rule that Real Madrid have of having 3 players in Bellingham, Mbappe, and Vinicius as the best paid players, but at the same level. I think he earns now about 50 million euros net, more or less. He would like 25 million net euros. So it's a big jump. And there is 2 stories about what's happening with Saudi Arabia. It's very true that they want him. It's very true that a few months back in the summer, they put an offer for him, which was ignored by Real Madrid. I think it was about 300 million euros. And Real Madrid said, no, buyout clause is 1 billion euros. So if you want to bring that, then maybe we talk. But it seems like the conversations are continuing with Vinicius, not with Real Madrid, because Vinicius won that story to be out there. And Real Madrid are not scared of pushing that away and saying, okay, we will renew your contract. And again, there's been an exchange of messages on both camps with the idea of renewing Vinicius' contract. The message that Real Madrid is getting is that Vinicius wants to be at Real Madrid, but Vinicius' agents are playing with the Saudi offer. In Saudi, they're saying, we will get him. We will get Vinicius. So it's that kind of poker game going on, because it is a contract that wants to be has to be negotiated. My guess is that the offer from Saudi will be doubled, even if necessary, for both the club and the player, but that the player will eventually stay at Real Madrid. But it will break the wage balance that they've got, which means they will have to pay more to Mbappe and to Bellingham as well. There is a question about Neymar that I would like to read to you, because bringing them on, if you got questions, we can talk about anything. Neymar to Barcelona, any chances? Joshua, you're a romantic, aren't you? That's what it is. Neymar, it's done with elite football. He's struggling at Santos. We knew he would. Struggling in Saudi, and doesn't belong to that level anymore. There's no chance, 0 chances of Neymar going to Barcelona, to a team that is high tempo, dynamic. Even Brazil will have difficulty to play him in, because now the reference is Rafinha, not so much Neymar. And Rafinha proposes a game that's, box to box and dynamic, modern, if you like, and that gets the best out of Rafinha. Neymar, let's see what happens with Santos. At the moment, the early criticisms in Brazil are arriving because he's not fit. He's not much fit. He obviously hasn't played a lot in a year and a half, so it'll take a while. You'll have to be patient, but I think Santos is where he's going to revive his career and probably stay there for a long, long while. It's a good chance to talk about somebody else whose form has not surprised me, but certainly it surprised many, and that's Guirassy, the French-born player, but Guinea international, that has scored 10 goals and 2 assists in the Champions League, 9 games in the Champions League, ahead of Lewandowski and Haaland, etc. He was absolutely superb for Borussia. He help Borussia get a really good result against Sporting Club, and will mean that they will go into the next round. I think they will meet, is it Lille and or Aston Villa? That will be a really interesting encounter if it's for Borussia Dortmund and Aston Villa. So Aston Villa will be an interesting, fascinating encounter, and they will have to keep an eye on Guirassy, who is not just your typical number 9. This is somebody who wasn't educated in the best academies in France. Eventually managed to go to Cologne in Germany. Didn't work out, and he was almost like a joke because he made some mistakes, missed some clear chances. I think one famous one against Werder Bremen, and he was put the tag of the striker that doesn't score a lot, and that all has changed. Of course, now you are talking about a regular goal scorer with Borussia Dortmund, absolutely crucial in the way he plays inside the box, but outside the box, he's like a Benzema, if you like. It was a pleasure to watch him play, but also he just keeps giving to the side. Niko Kovac was saying he didn't know if he had to replace him. He saw him, he was a little bit tired, but it'd be the moment, and then something magic appeared from him. He, of course, scored one goal and assisted on another. It was absolutely great to see him. You know who else is doing really well? Dembele. And many will be, Ousmane Dembele will be a surprise to many, perhaps in Barcelona. But let me tell you quickly what has happened and why he has become the most lethal striker that is in Europe at the moment, and a candidate to Ballon d'Or if he continues like this and PSG continues progressing. How did Luis Enrique manage to get back to this kind of form in which he scored 10 goals in the last 4 games? 10 goals in the last 4 games. Do you know the best record of a Messi in 4 games? There was 13. And the best record of Cristiano in 4 games, 11. And you know what? They're playing Toulouse, PSG next, mid-table at Toulouse. He could score another 2. The way he's playing, he's got so many chances. And right, very quickly, things that have happened in his life that have made him change. He struggled with being as professional as he should have been at Barcelona at the beginning. He arrived as an 18-year-old, didn't look after his nutrition so much. Barcelona put him a chef, but he just sacked him. Another chef, he sacked him. And he wasn't that he was partying. He's Muslim, doesn't drink, but he would play the PlayStation until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Injuries will come. He didn't rest enough. Perhaps he didn't have a professional, how can I put it, setup at the beginning. And then he got married. He had a kid, and he changed, became much more professional, started working on his prevention, his nutrition. The setup around him became much more professional. And the last 2 years at Barcelona already, he had less injuries, and he started working at the level that we saw. And everybody thought he was going to stay in. PSG take him for 50 million euros. By the way, Barcelona paid 156 million euros, which makes him the 3rd most expensive player in history. So Barcelona didn't see a lot of him. In fact, of the 6 years he was at the club, 2 years plus and few days, he was out injured. And he hadn't got injured before, and he hasn't got injured at PSG that much. He's only missed 5 games since he's been at PSG. So Luis Enrique comes in and he says to him, "You're very, very good." They start working on details with a lot of video, a lot of coaching, individual coaching. He's somebody, and this surprised me as well when I heard about it. I'm preparing a blog for the BBC, which will come out soon. He surprised me because he loves football, loves to know about football, loves to know about details in football, and that has helped him to understand his new role. Luis Enrique has got him closer to the rival goalkeeper, to the 6-yard box, if you like. He can start on the right-hand side, but he's a false 9 or a 9, and he was told this summer, and that's another jump, when Mbappe went, "You are our guy now. If you convert more chances, not all of them, but more chances, you're a little bit more efficient. If you focus on your finishing a little bit more, and as a collective we do well, you could win the Ballon d'Or." That's what Luis Enrique told Dembele. And Dembele has put all the focus on that, on finishing. Meanwhile, the coaching staff go to him and they keep saying Ballon d'Or, Ballon d'Or, Ballon d'Or, Ballon d'Or, because they really believe that he could be the kind of killer in the box that we're seeing at the moment. And he's effective. They told him, be egotistical. Don't pass the ball. This is Luis Enrique telling him that. The team will benefit from it. So it's now getting to the best level he's got, but I think he's going to have the continuity to become one of the top 3 players in the world at the time of the Ballon d'Or. If he continues like this, no doubt. I want to talk about another striker who is now at Aston Villa, and is Marcus Rashford. I was there at his debut in the FA Cup game against Spurs. Marco Asensio was brilliant. As I mentioned earlier in the video, he did 3 or 4 things and everybody got really, really excited. Marco Asensio will be important because he's going to play in his position, number 10, which he is never used in that position. Plays wide. At Real Madrid, came in and out of the side. He didn't have continuity. I think he will get it here, but especially he will play in that position, number 9, which will make him a special player and a key player for Aston Villa in this last part of the season. The same with Marcus Rashford. Marcus has already been given a lot of detail and information, and will continue to do so with Rodri, the individual coach head coach at Aston Villa. So they've got 2 other assistants with individual coaching only. So video has been produced to get Marcus Rashford his first version. He will start from the left-hand side. There's things that already been correcting for him. Should I tell you, or should I leave it for the book? There's work that has been put on his movement that he's already benefiting from in training anyway, and I think he could be the difference. Him and Marco Asensio especially, but also Morgan Rogers and Jacob Ramsey. That relationship that has been developed there in the attack, all those will take, I feel, Aston Villa to another level. The team needed energy, new energy, and I think it's definitely getting it with the addition of the new players. Even Andres Garcia is doing really well as a fullback. I've got an update to tell you about the book. You've seen, well, you chose the cover, basically. I put it out there, and you chose that this was the best cover for the book. We decided to change the title. There's another book with a similar title, and we decided to change our title. And the new title is, I cannot tell you yet, but I will tell you soon. And we're going to announce it soon. The cover doesn't change much, just the title. I love the title. I've done the first part of it, which is mostly a biography of Unai and his time at different clubs, but stories that link to Aston Villa, how he got to Aston Villa, for instance, is part of that first part, what made him as a coach, how he overcame the hurdles that he had as a coach, but also there's a psychological profile and sociological and historical profile and with a lot of context of where he comes from, his family, how he thinks, and what made him what he is. I love that chapter. It's chapter 2 of the book, and I love this first part. Which I call it the Lion, because it's about him, and of course the Lion and the Curse of Aston Villa is the reference. The second part is called the Pride of Aston Villa, recovered through what's happening there. But the Pride is a bunch of lions as well, isn't it? So that's the second part. That's where I will go more specifically on Aston Villa. So that's coming out in August, and I have to finish it by the 1st of June. So what else have we got that I want to talk to you about? I mean, this has been a time of a lot of rumors already, and out of everything that's been said, and it's still early times to define what the clubs are going to go for, having just come out of the January market. I can tell you one player that has impressed me, which is Paixão. Paixão of Feyenoord. I started looking into his story, and I went on Match of the Day and told how Paixão is a brilliant winger, plays on the left-hand side for Feyenoord. Liverpool and Arsenal were interested in him, but there was no offer. He will go for about 30 million euros, and he was impressive against AC Milan. So he's from a town in the river of the Amazon, so very, very remote. He's 24 at the moment, very remote, not even a motorway coming out of his town. So he was just playing five-a-side mostly, and the way he plays is a tricky winger. The way he plays suggests that he comes from five-a-side football. Likes a lot of dribbling in the small spaces and so on. He drove Kyle Walker mad. Anyway, Curitiba is one of the historic clubs of Brazil, but not one of the biggest ones. So they have to be clever in the way they sign players. So they traveled all over Brazil, and they found him. So anyway, they bring him into the first division in Brazil. He does really well. Eventually signs for Feyenoord. Arne Slot was part of that signing. That's why the interest, yes, but perhaps in the future an offer from Liverpool, and he's doing really well for Feyenoord. 35 million euros will take him, which is a little bit of a surprise because in market transfers it's just not a lot of money, especially for the Premier League. But after his display against AC Milan, there's been more interest. So there'll be a lot of clubs that want him in the summer, and that's that. This is the week where I've been to match of the day. As I said, 2 days it takes me to recover from it. It's like nervous. It's a nervous balaguer. The day before, as I prepare, hoping to know enough of when they ask me the questions, that of course a lot of what we talk about in match of the day is got to do with the games and what happens in the games. So we spoke about Paixão. We talked about Harry Kennan's, how some people, or one person, Didi Hamann, thinks that he's not good enough for big games. Anyway, and having to be prepared for it in such iconic show is one of the highlights of my year. I've done it twice. I think I've contract to do it 4 more, so we'll see what happens. And for those of you that watch La Liga TV, I'll be on later. We'll be covering Girona Getafe and a little bit of the preview of the weekend. I'll be on as well. Oh, where are you going? Microphone. We haven't finished. We're almost there. Sunday, there will be more La Liga TV for me. Then on ITV on Monday, Barcelona Rayo, and we'll have a little bit of a preview, the game, and post game as always. And then travel to Madrid, and I'll be on Wednesday in the Santiago Bernabeu. And after that, the EuroLeague's on Thursday, of course, like every week. And then 10 days where I'll be able to focus my attention in the book. I'll be writing. That's what I'll be doing from my base in Biggleswade. So yeah, I'll go and watch Biggleswade as well. That's it for now. I've given you 27 minutes of it. Remember that I'm on Blue Sky, as well as Instagram, X, and everything else. Well, X, yes, if you're watching me, that's I'm still putting things out. And I just hope to see you soon. See you later. Goodbye, everyone.